All right, everyone, we are here. Therapy Without a Degree, another episode. All right, we got a very special guest in the building. We got Zane, we got Desiree here, we got Javi. We even have Val in the other room. Val's working in the other room. We have
full house.
Yeah, it's a full house. We might have some other surprise guests walking in. All right. Vinny Martin, what's up, man?
Hey guys.
How's it going?
Of course, man. Thank you for coming on over.
Anytime.
Hopefully it wasn't too far.
Not far at all.
we try to stay local. Do you listen to any podcasts? Do you watch any podcasts?
Actually, I really don't. I believe it or not, I follow yours a little bit.
Thank you.
And just a little bit of Sebastian Maniscalco. But
I don't know who that is.
Comedian,
the
right?
comedian, yeah, the comedian.
Yeah.
Sebastian.
Have you checked him out?
I've seen the stand-up. He's
Oh
hilarious.
yeah.
I didn't know he had a podcast.
Yeah, he does a podcast with a buddy of his. Yeah.
Okay. I still have to check out.
Yeah, I might have to check it out because now everyone's doing a pod.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
When we started in 2016,
That's crazy.
and back then people didn't even know what a podcast was.
No.
People were
It's
looking.
like, what's
And
that?
I was one of them.
Yeah, everyone was like, "What are you doing? What do you mean?"
So I'm actually going to start a podcast. It's like, yeah, so how's your job? It's like, it wasn't making any capital at the time.
I used to have to explain it to people. I would say it was like an internet radio talk show.
That was it.
That's how I would explain to people.
Yeah, and to be honest with you, it's an idea that we should maybe explore for the town.
We definitely do. I mean, I have, I
we've
had
talked.
the ideas.
It's
Yeah.
gonna be pure comedy.
No. Yeah, but it'd be nice,
It would be really cool.
It'd be nice to get something like that.
They're doing, Anthony Mobilio is doing the Lodi show.
Yeah, no, absolutely. The police department's doing a phenomenal job.
I love that.
Yeah, they're doing a phenomenal job. Community policing and just community organizations and their participation with everything, phenomenal. So.
Speaking of that, when we were in school, you were at our school. You were on the force, right? Was Lodi? How long were you with them?
27 years.
That's a long time.
Yeah.
Were you?
So I was your SRO. I was the school resource officer when you were in high school.
What year? Do you know around when you started?
I think it was like, it was definitely like 6, 7, 06, 07.
No, that's when you guys were in high school.
We graduated 2008. 08. And I remember you being there, definitely senior year.
Yeah, maybe I might have just started because I retired in 2014, and I was the full-time SRO, but I was at the middle school.
Okay.
And I was there for about 3 solid years, just at middle school. But when the program started, I was at the high school 3 days a week and the middle school 2 days a week. So that was for a couple of years. So we might have been just around you guys, maybe coming into your senior year.
Yep.
So you said 27 years, right?
Right, yes. I started my career at the Bergen County Prosecutor's Office. I was there for 2 years, a little less than 2 years. And then I came over to Lodi, and I was there 25 years. So I just did a little under 27 years total.
Hey, congrats to that, man.
Yeah.
we need some air horns for that.
Yeah,
right.
Kidding.
So why did you want to get into that? Like, what was like? Tell me about it. I want to bring it back. I want to know why were you in that field? What inspired you? What was going on?
Well, I always, I had friends that were a little older than me that were police officers, so that piqued my interest. I actually took the test when I was in college, just to basically take the test and then kind of get a test under my belt. So when I came out of college, figuring if I had to take the test again, at least I had some experience with it. But believe it or not, I did well on the test. And at that time, the civil service list was good for 3 years. Now I believe it's only good for 1 year. So when you take the test, it's like a 1-year list.
Oh, wow.
When I took it many moons ago, it was a 3-year list. So believe it or not, by the time the list expired, they reached my name. So
Oh wow.
I was, and we hired. When I got hired, there was 6 of us that got hired, which is a large number to be hired all at once. In Lodi, just because it's a small department,
Right.
as opposed to bigger cities that hire sometimes 25, 30 guys at once.
30 one shot.
Yeah, like I would say, like in industry, like a Patterson, a Newark, an Elizabeth, they hire big numbers.
And it's like a graduation of
Yeah,
everybody.
yeah.
Okay.
Some even run their own academies, but your smaller towns, like Lodi, Saddlebrook, Hazard, surrounding towns. Very rarely do you get a big number, like 5, 6, 7 guys at once. It's usually one here, maybe 2 or 3. Only because the size of the department. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Speaking of that, do they go and like have certain times that they typically will hire? How does that
Well,
work?
the academy class is don't want to say it's still 2 classes a year because it's almost like 5 months. So if you think about it, doing some prep work, having for the academy, getting it ready, and then doing a 5.5 month class, then having a break for a little while, and then doing another 5-month class. So there's 2 classes. I want to say there's don't hold me, like a July or August class, and then like a January class, like
Something similar to that.
similar. You do 2 classes. That's at least up in Mawa, in the Bergen County Police Academy. But I would venture to say that all the police academies probably do 2 classes.
Okay.
All right. And what were you studying in college?
Criminal justice.
Oh, so you were studying.
Yeah.
So you were.
Yeah, I was
so
studying
this
criminal justice. The field I wanted to get into.
Okay.
Yeah, the field I wanted to get into.
And then you did that for. What was there different phases for that 27 years? Was it because I don't know how it works with like rankings or this?
Yeah, so
or
I
positions?
started out. Obviously, everybody starts out on patrol. I started as a patrolman in a police car, and then eventually, I want to say in 2002, I got transferred to the detective bureau because in Lodi it's a lateral move, so it's not a promotion. Like you don't get promoted from a patrolman to a detective. It's a lateral move, meaning.
What does that mean?
So in other words, so you're just assigned to the detective bureau.
Right.
So whereas if you were promoted to the detective bureau, you can never go back to patrol. It'd be
I
like
see what
getting
you're saying.
demoted. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But in Lodi, not only Lodi, there's a lot of towns. It's kind of an even keel. You're assigned to the detective bureau.
Right.
So in 5 years, if they want to put you back in patrol, they can. You know what I mean? Because it's a lateral move.
Okay.
So then I was there. I think I want to say 2002. Now I forget the times, but so I got a detective bureau, and then the Bergen County Prosecutor's Office started what they called they called it a MARS unit, which was like a municipal agency. I don't even know the acronym for it, but
Yeah.
basically the chief at the time there was a guy named Mike Mordaga, who was a retired Hackensack police officer detective, very like icon in law enforcement in Bergen County, even through the state. And he was the chief of detectives at the prosecutor's office one time, and he had a great idea, which was for the smaller departments, he created this MARS unit, and the whole idea behind it was if each municipality sent the detective or anybody sent a officer to this MARS unit, we'd have a big number, and then so in other words, MARS unit had 30 people in it. So if a small town like Lodi had something that they really needed to get done, say with surveillance or a case, and you needed big numbers, well, you can have 15, 20 guys come into town to help you with a case, with a surveillance or with something like that. So it benefited the little towns to send somebody there because you picked up a ton of manpower that you didn't have for certain incidents. You know what I mean?
And that didn't interfere with jurisdiction?
No, not at all. Because when you're a sworn police officer, you're sworn to uphold the law in the state of New Jersey. You can make an arrest anywhere in the state of New Jersey.
Okay.
Yeah, it has nothing to do with what town you live in or you work in.
Okay.
So that was pretty cool. So I was there for almost 2 years on loan, and then when I came back, I was in kind of the detective bureau, and then our chief at the time, which was Vinny Caruso. And our borough manager, which was Tony Luna, our mayor's father, they came up with not the idea. Other towns had it, but they wanted to kind of get involved with the school resource officer, with putting a police officer within the schools, and that's something I enjoyed because I had younger kids. They were at the middle school level yet. Or they were still in grammar school, but I coached football in town, youth level. I coached baseball. I ran our rec wrestling program. So I like interacting with the youth to be like kind of a
role model.
Yeah, like a role model thing. So I kind of volunteered to do that. So I did that, but I kind of still handled some cases on the criminal end as a detective. Then I got promoted to sergeant.
That was really important when you were in the schools, and it's crazy that you say that because I'll be honest, I'm from this town forever, and you're the one police officer I remember from then. Like as like I could clearly say, and that's one thing like, I've always kind of wanted, and this is for Lodi, for many towns. I feel like the kids should know everyone in police, and just also mayors and all these different people by first name basis. And also be that comfortable, and that was a good thing always with you when we were kids. Like, you knew, okay, that was Vin. Like, we saw you every day and we didn't, we looked at you like we could respect you, talk to you, know you. And I've always said that's something that I feel like almost we should have with like every officer or just, like I said, figure in town. Because a lot of times, we go around, you don't even know. And I feel like back when, like my father's 64, he tells me stories all the time of like when he was younger and just dealing with. He was like they knew all like the cops by names.
Yeah.
Was that like that for you when you were younger?
Yeah, and yeah, absolutely. Because what happened was, there was a time, especially back in the day, where when you hired off of the civil service list, right? So Lodi is a civil service department. So some police departments are what you call a chief's test, and then some are civil service. So we're civil service. Which means you take a civil service test, the civil service guidelines that you got to follow, so you can't just skip anybody. You can't just say, list comes out, I like the kid who's number 12, let's hire him. You got to have a reason to disqualify the first 11. Like, you can't just hop and skip to get to somebody special. But back in the day, there was a Lodi list, if that makes any sense to you. So there was two lists that the town would get. One would be kind of a residence list, and one would be a non-residence list. So you would hire off the residence list. And, so you hired a lot of Lodi family people. So, so like when I was a young kid, probably 90%, maybe if not 100% of the police officers in town knew my family, knew my dad, but knew everybody's. Everybody knew the cops. And then some years back, we got away from that a little bit for some legality reasons, a bunch of towns, and we did away with the Lodi list. That doesn't mean you couldn't hire if you were from Lodi, but you had to. Now you're competing with everybody,
right?
And now we actually just got back to having a Lodi list again. And listen, by all means, it doesn't mean that the non-Lodi police officers did a bad job. They do a great job.
Right.
I mean, there's a majority on them now that aren't Lodi residents when they got hired. But they do a phenomenal job. And it started way back, like, just to get what you were saying, Joe. He's like, I remember, I don't know who the chief was when we did it. It was probably a little bit between the PBA and the chief. We did a baseball card thing. I don't know if you remember that. So what we did was the department had baseball cards made of every officer.
I think I remember that because I collected some of them.
Well, the thing was, so we ran a contest, and when you collected the set, I think we gave away a bicycle, maybe even more than one.
I remember.
So when people had the whole set of the police officers, that we gave away a basketball.
When did we do that?
I forgot what year that was, but I remember having them.
If I would have brought my card, but you'd have laughed.
No, I gotta get your card.
No.
That's in the
I
archives.
look like 10 pounds of bologna in a 5-pound bag.
Nah, I need that card, man. You had to bring that back.
I want to still say it was. I'm not sure if it was. If you go into Borough Hall, so the company they did it also gave us like a poster with all the cards, like on a poster. At one time, that was in Borough Hall in the lobby. I don't know if it's still there.
Were these like official baseball?
Yeah, they were official.
Oh, y'all were probably feeling like kings.
Yeah. So,
had like the stats.
When you would go around town, if you interacted with a young kid, the whole idea was he'd say, Officer Martin, can I have your baseball card? You know what I mean? And that's how you would interact.
Right.
They
missed that.
Yeah, so that was good.
This society, they don't even know.
And that's like now, like for the longest time now, we do the junior police academy every year up at the middle school, and it's for the 7th grade class, and which is great. And the officers, for years, they volunteer their own time, and a bunch of officers go, not just 2 or 3. Lieutenant Mobilio, runs it. I mean, Captain Sameka, John Sameka, who retires as a captain, he started it out, and then Lieutenant Mobilio took it over, and Sergeant Miller and the whole force, and different officers come every Monday. So a good majority of these kids get to see different officers every
cool.
Monday. So you
Has that been going around for a little while? Or?
That's been it's been going quite a while. Yeah, quite a while.
That's super good. I think that should be highlighted more as well too.
Yeah,
because that is really really cool. Now, is that how many people would you say attend that?
Well, back when I was the SRO, I can tell you that there was times sometimes we had to cut off the registration because, as you know, the middle school gym ain't the biggest gym.
Right.
So, but now the numbers this year were a little higher than last year. The pandemic put a little, even though they ran it, the pandemic might have put a little, kind of wrench into the number.
Yeah.
But again, the class was a little smaller. But I want to say they did 2 classes this year because they didn't do the class in 2020.
Okay.
Or 2020. So they did 2.
Right.
But they can go 50, 60 kids, sometimes more, sometimes a little less. But they get a good turnout. It's a lot of fun, and they do a lot of things. They have different units come in. The canines come in. They have BCI come in, which they do fingerprints for the kids. And,
I remember doing
all
those.
all that stuff. They years ago, they don't do it no more. But the very first night, the state police used to land the helicopter right in the middle school.
Oh,
the medical helicopter.
Of course, I missed that
But they don't do that no more.
that's
close
serious.
call one year, and that was the end of that.
Oh, God.
Yeah, but it's good. They do a trip to the county jail. I think they do a trip to the county jail. I think they used to do a trip up to the police academy. So it's pretty cool. It's they like it. And word passes, right? 7th graders tell 6th graders.
Right.
It's a lot of fun. So when they get to 7th grade, they do it.
They want to jump on board. Yeah, that is super cool. I want to go though one day. I want to experience just some of the behind the scenes. I'll take photos, make content.
Yeah, no, it's good. It's good. So that's that was my career, and and then I retired in 2014.
Now, when you were there, let's say when you were at the school, what do you feel? What are some things that you learned maybe that you didn't was new to you, just being around kids all the time? Do you think you just gained any different perspective at all from any other avenues or
Well, the funny thing is that so when I first started, I was in full uniform, so I was in full police uniform. Not so much the middle school, but the high school level.
Right.
Obviously, students' eyes were why is there a cop walking in our school?
Right.
You know what I mean? So it was nobody wanted to talk to me. Everybody, and there was actually an article in the newspaper that covered me being there. Not so much school resource officer, and I was interviewed. So one of the things I did when I first got there was in the morning I would make sure I was in a hallway, and I would literally make kids look me in the eye, and because I would say good morning, hey, good morning,
right,
and they go good morning. They have basically no choice,
right.
And
I
then
remember that.
Then I spoke to the chief, and I said, listen, having me in a uniform is not a good idea, because I went, so you don't just, I had to go to school for it. So, you go, I was certain, I went to school. I think it was a 2-week class up at the Bergen County Police Academy to become an SRO. And, one of the things that this program is for is not to spy on kids. It's to kind of be a mentor, kind of to be a liaison between the police department and the kids. Let kids know that, we're here to help people. We're here. We can be a good resource. I'm not gonna say mentor, because you would like to hope that they have mentors in their families and their parents and older brothers and sisters. But yet you're there.
Right.
And you can't get anybody to talk to you. That's kind of hard.
Right.
And that was one of the things in your uniform. So then it got down to where I wore my uniform pants, but I wore an IZOD, a college shirt, with just a little Lodi police patch.
Yep.
And that made it a little better. By the time I left, I was in 511s with that same shirt. And I was I had handcuffs and my weapon because I'm a cop.
Right.
At the end of the day. But what I ended up doing was I would go into the phys ed class in the beginning of the year, because as you know, before you break for health and weight room and everything, so I would be able to, if I spoke to every health class, I would be able to speak to every student.
Right.
And basically the message I was basically sending to him was listen, I'm not here to make arrests. I'm not here. Like I wouldn't come here in full uniform and let you know that I was a cop if I'm not working undercover.
Right.
You obviously know I'm a police officer.
Right.
And and believe it or not, that kind of eased it up. And then you go to some of the popular kids and some of the athletes and some of the non-athletes, believe it or not.
Right.
And they gain your trust and you gain their trust, and word spreads. Like like I'm sure it does now and it did back then. Word spreads like hey, that dude's not a bad guy. Like and
Right.
And one of the things I take pride in is like there was times that people would knock on my door to come and talk to me. Had nothing to do with, they weren't in trouble, or people would knock on my door and tell me something like, listen, there might be some trouble after school, or there might be, and you know what? At the end of the day, I prevented that trouble. Why even have the fight start? Let's say, let's
stop it before you have it.
Let's not get anybody in trouble.
Right.
So it worked out pretty good. And now, when I left, Detective Castro, Lee Castro is the SRO, and he does a phenomenal job. He's on social media. Social media was just, I'm sure it was around, but it was the MySpace age.
So he's in there.
So
he's wearing middle school or high school?
He's in high school. So he's in high school, and he does social media things. He promotes the kids, the events. He's got everything. He does a phenomenal job, and it's important to have that. So
yeah, he's active on social because I actually know.
Very active.
I see him. I see him on social.
So he's the
I didn't
school
know.
resourcer.
Yeah,
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah, he replaced me when I left. So
that's good that it's the same person for a long time.
yeah, because it's hard. It's hard to, you don't want to switch people out, right? Because somebody gains trust in you, then all of a sudden it's a new face. Now I'm like, can I trust this guy? Listen, at the end of the day, that's going to be it's the culture right now about sometimes police aren't trusted, and I get it. What I mean? But so once you build a bond, same thing with a teacher, right? You build a good bond with a teacher, you're always going to go to that teacher, right?
Right.
There's students that come back and see teachers. I see teachers that I had that are retired now, and I know that that was the person I always talked to. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So it's good. Yeah, if somebody's there, you want to kind of keep them there.
Did you maybe after speaking with maybe the kids or even just seeing things, right? Hearing little things, conversations and stuff. Do you feel like maybe that you heard stuff or witnessed stuff or even the questions and advice maybe they're coming to you for? Did that open up your eye a little bit to maybe what's going on in people's homes a little bit more than maybe before you got that? Or was it what was that like?
Well, no, because again, in patrol you deal with that. Remember, you're a first responder. So you're getting called to, you're seeing everything anyway, So a lot of times, people would come and again, you can't tell me you're doing wrong. There's certain things that I just have to report. You know what I mean?
Right.
I'll just give you an example. This never happened. I'm saying, but so you can't come and tell me that you're getting abused.
Right.
Because then that can't stay between me and you. You know what I'm saying? So there's limits.
Yeah.
But I've talked. Listen, the gammon. I would come. They would knock on my door. Detective Martin. My mom wanted me to ask you. The guy next door. We shoveled snow and he parked the car in front of my house. It got to that at some point. So I'd be like, well, they don't really need to call the police department. But I was getting questions that had absolutely nothing to do with being an SRO. But listen, that's what you're there for. You know what I mean? But like you said, it's about building trust. So I went to events. I went to basketball games. I went to football games. I pop into the wrestling match. I go to the choir. I go to the play. Because that's what you want. They want to see that you're real. You know what I'm saying?
And did they ever feel that you were showing up for support, or are you showing up to just watch them?
No, support. Because I would say, I'd see you in school the next day. I'd say, hey, I went to play, man. You good. Yeah. That was a great job. Or hey, I didn't know you played the saxophone. Whatever it was. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Yeah. So all the time. Yeah. All the time.
That's good.
So it was good. And again, what I would do. Every morning when I would go in, right, I read the reports. So any juvenile stuff, obviously, I would handle.
Yeah.
So, on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday night, well, not too much Sunday, but usually on Friday and Saturday, right?
Yeah.
If something went wrong, so on Monday morning.
Also, you would know about it.
Oh, absolutely.
Right, yeah.
100%. And one of the things is they would forward me, they would send me an email or something. So if patrol, I don't know, let's just say they caught a couple high school kids, even goofing off. They would let me know just so I know, just so I would call those kids in, dude, guys, what are you doing? Again, it wasn't to get them in trouble. It was more like to educate them, like, you got to be smart. There's consequences, and you don't want to, you don't want to put yourself in that situation.
Right.
It was strictly stuff like that. It was almost like I was almost like an extra counselor.
Right.
That's why,
But that was fine.
That's why I asked, because it seems like it's like another version of that to a point. So that's why it's like interesting.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. Like they would come to me sometimes with a problem, and I'd say, no, you need to go to the vice principal for that. Like, you know what I mean? So one of the things you learn, like, you're not a disciplinarian. Like, I couldn't discipline. Like, I couldn't suspend a kid. That's not my job. Like, you know what I mean? I don't have a school function. I have a law enforcement function.
Right.
So if kids would come to me and, with something that had to be addressed by the principal or the vice principal, then no, you need to go to the vice principal. I'll walk you down there, or I'll tell Mr. So and so you come in, and then that was again, because you get so much trust that they want to bypass everybody, come right to you. But
right.
I can't,
Where was the line in that, in between what a vice principal handle and what you would handle? If there was like, such and such said he's gonna beat me up, would that automatically go to the VP at that point? Or
no. So listen, the majority of the time we were a duo. You know what I mean?
Right.
Majority of the time we handled things together. So, I would handle things on my end, and he would handle things on his end. Because for example, let's use the fight scene, right?
Right.
If there's a fight and somebody gets assaulted, if the parent of the victim wants to sign a complaint against the person who assaulted his or her son or daughter,
right,
they have that right.
Right.
And now if the vice principal comes in back in and now says, well, you're suspended for fighting. There's two different things. So it ain't like, wait a minute, you're going to sign a complaint against my kid and you're going to suspend them? Yeah. It's not one or the other.
Right.
It's two different animals. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So there's a whole different things. Like, we've had incidents like that, like where, a student was disciplined by the school.
Right.
There was no real legal action. Let's say a parent said, no, listen, it was a fight, and they're like, well, they would say to the vice principal, well, wait, the cops didn't do anything. Well, no, it's two different things.
Right.
You know what I mean? But we would always, do things together.
Okay.
Yeah.
I gotta say, like, just thinking about it too, you could just imagine how beneficial that really is, though. Like, if you really think about it, how many things you probably caught or like almost helped, or people didn't do it because you were there.
Yeah, no, well, listen, 100%. And again, when you have children of your own,
that's why I asked. I have a 14-year-old.
Yeah, so.
And she's about to be 15, and I'm not gonna lie, I'm getting to that age. I'm getting to that point where I'm like, damn, I just hope there's another eye out there, just making sure she's all right, like in school, like, and not just because of her, but we know how it is. You know what I mean? We know as we get older.
And listen, one of the other things I used to do a lot was, again, because I coached, I coached, junior football program. I coached rec wrestling. I coached Babe Ruth baseball. So I would see a lot of the parents of kids that were in school. And a lot of them I knew. So I would always say, too, hey, did your son tell you what we did in school today?
Yeah.
No. How? Did you ask?
Yeah. Exactly.
A 14, 15-year-old is not going to always come home and say, hey, Ma, hey, Dad, guess what I did in school today?
Right.
And, listen, believe me, I'm not saying I'm the parent of the year, but, I did dinner table. I asked my kids, what'd you learn in school today?
Right.
Nothing. Well, I think I got to talk to the principal then.
Yeah.
I'm not learning nothing. What are you going to school for? So I used to say, what did you do? So that was pretty cool. That was good.
That was an experience.
You guys, so I don't know. You guys would have been all right. So I also started the Prom program. So, and Detective Castro's continued it. So now, at Lodi High School, and I don't, maybe people watch this now, we go, oh, he's the one that did that. But so what happened is now, and I got it from another school in Bergen County, and I thought it was a great idea. So, in order to go to the prom in Lodi, you have to attend a prom presentation that I started and I gave. Like I said, now Detective Castro does it, and that basically is just, it was for the parents. So the parents had to come, and we just educated the parents on kind of, the good and the bad, what takes place at the prom, and, about knowing the limo drivers, phone number, because God forbid there's an emergency.
Right.
Knowing, what the venue is. And I'll tell you a quick funny story. I mean, it might have been the first year or the second year. One of the first 2 years. We ran 3 sessions. Like, we had 3 different dates that you can come. So obviously, like anywhere else, right? The first session, there was a few parents. Second session, a few parents. Third session, which was the last session, jam-packed.
Right.
So I always started off by saying, I apologize now if there's something I say. I want, by all means, I'm not telling you how to parent your child. So please don't ever take that the wrong way. I'm a parent. I'm not telling you how to parent your own child. I'm just giving you examples of things that happen and try to keep everybody safe. So I'm kind of apologizing before I say anything. And everybody's looking at me, and I'm like, raise your hand if you know where the prom is this year. And like,
no one barely.
like let's just say for our conversation, there's 60 people in the audience, which there was probably more. It's probably like 80.
Right.
Maybe 10 hands went up.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I'm like,
that
like,
speaks
raise
volumes.
your hand if you know when the prom is. Like right now, you know when the prom is. And maybe 30 hands went up. And I'm like, raise your hand if you're involved in how your child's going to get to and from the prom. And again, limited hands. So I said, now the reason for my apology. So, your child's going to go to a prom in a limo, in a party bus. You don't know the limo. You don't know the party bus. You don't even know where the venue is. You don't even know where your child's going to be. And, and you wonder.
They just figured they got their number,
Right.
their phone, and that's it.
And so, well, funny you say that, because I say to them, listen, so we used to go, I went, and we used to usually have one female officer and one male officer. We used to go to the prom.
Right.
As not so security, but I guess you can kind of say security, but we never went in. Like, we would be in the vestibule area. We didn't go inside where they were. They were there to have a good time. We weren't there. We were there because obviously kids couldn't run back out to the limousine. We know what you're going to the limo for.
Right.
I mean, there's no going. Once the limo drops you off, the limo drops you off.
Right.
You're not running back. You forgot your shoes. Oh, you forgot your shoes? We'll walk you to the limo. Well, we did. We're not going to tell you can't go back to the limo.
Right.
But we're going to walk you to the limo. 4 kids ain't going to the limo to get shoes.
Right.
We're not stupid.
Right.
So, but we would tell parents that we're there. We're there and we're doing that. Some guys are laughing because they know that,
Prom wasn't that long ago, right? Javi's the young one in here building.
So we would do all that stuff, and I would tell them, listen, your child has a great time at the prom. I've seen kids go on a dance floor, not get off the dance floor the whole night, and their cell phones on their table.
Right.
So that was my point about know where the venue is. God forbid there's an emergency. Let's talk about an emergency where you need to let your son or daughter know, hey, there's an emergency. We need to get you. Whatever it is, you can blow that phone up. You might be calling that phone for 2 hours.
Right.
They're on a dance floor. I mean, and like I said, I've seen it. I'm talking from experience when I'm telling the parents, that phone's on the table. Know the venue. So you can at least call the venue and say, hey, my son or daughter is at the Lodi High School prom. I'm trying to call them. They might, they're not answering the phone. Can you please... I need them, and then it can work out where we can get them.
Right.
So it was, I made sense of what I was saying, but it's just, yeah. So
that's super important, and that actually is one reason, like, why I'm always very adamant about, like, especially now with like social, because that is one thing. Like, that's just another example that I wasn't even aware of or think of, but a lot of times people don't know about what's going on. And like, because my daughter, she went to school for a little while, and this isn't like a Lodi thing. This is like an every town thing. And like a lot of times you just wouldn't, like, if you put the flyer in the folder, if they get rid of the flyer, or if you're not really looking, a lot of times you'll miss a lot of stuff. And that's why I'm like, in today's day and age, we got to use digital, and we got to use social, and we got to use all these different forms that we have to get out those messages.
Absolutely.
I'm very big on that, because like, I know, like, me growing up, I grew up in DeVries Park.
Yeah,
and
I hung there. I told you that. We had that conversation.
right there. And
my
like,
home ground.
That was the home ground. And, even me, like, and the people I hung out with, some of them weren't in sports. A lot of them weren't already involved. And if you weren't, like, super involved, I feel like you could easily miss things.
Get lost in the shuffle.
It can get lost in the shuffle. And this is not, again, not Lodi thing. This is every town.
Everywhere.
I've lived upstate New York, same thing. And it's like, damn, so now it's like those type of things, like you said, they just, especially like around here too, a lot of it, it's like, everyone's working. It's a working class.
Right.
You're going to work,
Collar town.
go home, you cook, you get ready, you do homework or whatever, and then you get ready for the next day. So it's tough sometimes. Unfortunately, you don't even probably realize, a lot of them people that you probably asked those questions to, maybe they didn't even realize that like they're missing that stuff. So that's why now I always try to bring up, like, hey, we got to get creative. We got to use our resources, that we have now digitally to like just get our messages out there. And that was a really good example.
And again, those questions are asked not to embarrass anybody. Those questions are asked to make awareness.
Right.
You know what I mean? Those questions are asked to let people know, hey, yeah, I need that. I would tell people, like, obviously I knew some people, so I would say, hey, Joe, your daughter's going to prom. You're paying for the limo. You might say, yeah, I'm not paying by myself. Yeah, but you're paying your daughter's share. Yeah. Well, if you don't want your daughter to go to the city after the prom, you tell that limo driver. I say, you tell the limo driver, hey, Paolo, see this girl here? That's my daughter. She don't go to the city. You want to take them to the city? Be my guest. This girl comes home. Right. This boy comes home, and again, because you're paying for it.
Probably people probably don't even know that they could do that.
Well, seriously, but you're paying for it. I'm going to tell you, no, you want it, whatever you want. This girl doesn't come. She's coming home, or she told me she's going to, this place where I'm okay. That's where she better land.
Right.
You know what I mean? Listen, because now you're giving the limo driver a little heads up to say, well, this lady or this guy knows where these kids are supposed to go.
Right.
I'm not gonna be the one that says, oh no, don't worry about your parent. I'm gonna drop you somewhere else.
Right.
And again, but you're right. Listen, there's a lot of things that are a necessity that kind of get in the way sometimes, and we all do. I'm not saying I haven't done it. All of us. I've done it.
Right.
I've had stuff, and oh my God, I forgot all about that. Or, Dad, I told you. So I get that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Just it's part of life, unfortunately. Now, last thing I kind of want to ask about you being involved, the 27 years, which again, we need an air horn for that. That is awesome. Hold on, we'll get these sound effects going. No, we need another one. What was your take on the mental health side of what they did for officers, or maybe now, like, what's your take on that? Do you feel like they ever gave you guys proper, just like aid in that mental health for you guys, or for anything in the involvement of that?
Well, we've always had the availability if something went wrong. A SIDS death where it's maybe a baby that dies in the crib, like something like that, or something tragic. Law enforcement, we've always had the opportunity through different avenues, through the county and through state agencies, to get some, to talk to somebody if you needed it and stuff like that. Obviously now that's the mental health is being addressed way more than it was when I really first got on the job. Mental health awareness is skyrocketed, and well due, 100%. But we've always had that, and there's always been avenues, the mental health avenues for victims too. Like go on a call, and somebody just needed some help. There was back in the day, I don't know what it is now. It used to be called 262 help. You know what I mean? And there's times that they would come right to the house, or there's times that we would take them in an ambulance, and the counselors, social workers would meet them at the hospital. So that's always been there. Again, maybe not at the level it is now. There's probably a lot more avenues than there is now. Yeah. But there's always been some type of
okay.
Yeah.
And since we're here, I want to get into obviously how you got involved with the town. Now, you're the deputy mayor of Lodi. Let's give a little air horn for that. But with that, right? So like, just we'll get to how you got there. But what about the mental health with that side? Is there anything?
Mental health being elected official?
Yeah. No. Is there any way of like, okay, hey, do they ever? Does anyone anyone ever talking about it? Is it a thing? Because you guys are dealing with like a lot of things now.
Well, we did some symposiums. A few years back, we did one on opioids. We did it at the Boys Club. The Bergen County prosecutors came in, and we did some for the residents. And then probably about a year, or two, maybe 2.5 years ago, Yesenia Flores, Dr. Flores, she helped me put it together. We did a kind of a mental health with some guest speakers. We did it at the senior center, which was good. Okay. So we've done a couple of things. I'd like to do more.
For you guys though.
Well, for us,
how does that
again, I guess we would have to get it on our own. I mean, everything's still available.
That's why I was just curious. It's available,
but knock on wood. I mean, I haven't really experienced anything where
not just for you, but just for anyone that's, or even at the towns. Like, is that a thing or no?
No.
Okay.
Not in the government aspect, except for offering to the there's avenues for our residents that need it.
Right.
Well, listen, again, I'm a resident.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, I may be elected official, but I'm a resident.
Right.
And they have been doing a lot more, like you said, definitely a lot more like events and speaking on it, and being way more vocal.
And we would have done a couple more things. I mean, I talked to Yesenia a few times a year, and we're always talking about doing other things. She's great. And obviously mental health professional, and she puts together some things for the community. The pandemic slowed a lot of people down. Yeah. So hopefully, this time around, we'll do some more stuff. Definitely worth it.
100%.
Definitely worth it.
And how did we get here? Like I said today,
I mean,
deputy mayor. No, I mean like deputy mayor. Just how did we get there?
Actually, when I was retiring, just speaking to a couple people, asked me if I would be interested in running for council at the time, back in 2014. The election was still probably 18 months away, maybe a year away. And I said, well, I'd be interested when the time comes. I want to stay involved. I'm born and raised in Lodi. I've been here since day one.
Yeah.
I've always been active. I've always been involved in the community, and when you serve the community as a police officer for so many years, you want to stay involved. I wasn't moving out of town. I wasn't saying I'm retiring and I'm going to sunny Florida or something. I'm staying here. I've got young kids that were in school systems and everything, so I'm not picking up my family and leaving.
Yeah.
So I was interested in.
Yeah, you've always been super involved. Like having just that, like being active in this town, working in this town. That's already being super, super active for a long time.
So the funny story to that was so before I ran for council, I was actually on the board of education for a year, and I ran for the board of education. So when you work for the town as a police officer, you can't be on the council because the council oversees the borough.
Which is conflict of interest.
But if you're a board of education member, that's under the board. So a police officer is not under the board of education, so you can. So I was actually on the board of education, and believe it or not, I resigned. And it's funny how I resigned because I was actually searching online because I was the SRO at the time. So I was actually searching online if there were any grants available so I can run some programs in the schools. And by surfing the net, doing that stuff, I came across an advisory opinion from the state where there was a police officer who was going to be the SRO, or she was it was a female officer, and it wasn't even in Bergen County, but she was either on the board and was next in line to be an SRO. But the advisory opinion actually said that it was a conflict of interest to be the school resource officer and be on the board. Because if something happened within the school,
right? Let's
say with a teacher filed a grievance for something, and let's say I worked in that school where a teacher filed a grievance. As it went up the line, it may appear, the decision or the case may appear in front of the Board of Education.
Right.
So I came across that on my own. I went right to the chief, and I'm like, I got some bad news for you. I don't think I should be here.
Right.
So I actually had the choice of either coming out of the schools and remaining on the Board of Education or resigning from the board and staying in school. And I honestly thought staying in the school, I'm going to be able to get the kids more than I'm going to be able to get the kids on Board of Education. You know what I'm saying? There's other people that can make the policies. I'd rather be involved with the kids.
Yeah.
So I resigned from the board.
Oh, okay. That makes sense.
Not
There
all
are people that
heroes.
don't believe that story.
You said people don't.
There are people that don't believe that story. I'll
Well,
leave it at that.
yeah.
But that's the stone cold truth. I actually I actually brought it to light myself. Nobody knew it.
Yeah.
I found it only because I was looking to get money through grants to run programs for the kids.
What type of programs were you thinking at the time? I know it was a while back, but like, what type of programs were you thinking about?
Just like we have people come in that do like educational things for the kids. So there's programs that the Bergen County Sheriff's Department does. Like I don't want to say Scared Straight, but they got programs where inmates come in, they talk to their students. Like, that's free of charge. But you get other people that come in and do some, all positive things for
Speakers,
kids. Speakers,
yeah. That's one thing me and him have talked about, like, motivation.
They cost money.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And there's times the borough will be able to pay, and sometimes it's not. They're not, they're not, they're not thousands, but they're not cheap. You know what I mean? And I like to do it a couple of times a year. So I'm figuring if there's money out there, let's use it.
Right.
You know what I mean? And just by the whim of me looking for that, I started reading this thing. I'm like, jeez.
Right.
I'm like,
So I guess I can't be here.
so, and again, so my choice was remain on the Board of Education, or stay in the school and be involved with the kids, and that's what I did. Because even when I was in high school, there was no school safety officers back then. So now, right, every school, at least in Lodi, right, every one of our schools has a school safety officer. It's an SSO, school safety officer. It's a retired cop, and they're basically security in the school. We have one at every school. We have 2 in the middle school, and we have 1 in the high school, and plus an SRO. But when I was there, we didn't have that. They really didn't come into play yet. So even though I was at the high school, I still ran. I mean, even when I finished up at the middle school, I still ran programs at all the grammar schools too.
Right.
I still went in there. I did their safety drills and all that stuff. So, I just figured it was better to be where I was than to be on the board. So.
Now, how did you get from there? Did you go again on a council or?
Right. So then I ran for council. So in Lodi, we're nonpartisan. We're a borough manager form of government. So when you run for council, you run for 5 council seats. So in towns that have a mayor form of government, right? Sometimes you'll see on a political sign or some vote for mayor. So you run for mayor and then you run for council. In Lodi, we're a borough manager form of government. So the ticket, everybody runs for council.
Right. And
there's 5 councilmen. Then once those councilmen are elected, the council votes on who they want to be the mayor and who they want to be the deputy mayor. And
so the council votes that.
Yes, yeah. And that can switch every year, or you can switch 2 years. It can switch every reorganization meeting. So July 1st, you have what you call as a reorganization meeting. So everybody can take a choice if you like a chance every year apiece. But I just think again, it's if it's not broken, why fix it? You know what I mean?
Okay, that's super interesting. I didn't even know that. Yeah. So then you ran for council.
So I ran for council. I won. I did my first 4 years as a councilman, and then I ran for re-election, and we won again. And then this time around, I was voted the deputy mayor. Yeah. By the councilman.
Hey,
so.
Need another air horn. Another air horn. Oh, I'm gonna lower that later.
But again, in our form of government, everybody has the same power. So the mayor, deputy mayor, and then there's 3 councilmen, right? It's a title. I mean, don't get me wrong. You respect the mayor. He kind of is the chief. Like, he kind of runs the show. But at the end of the day, from a voting standpoint, we're all equal.
That's what I learned from going to the meetings, because
we're all equal.
Yeah, everyone has like a.
So we're all technically elected as councilmen, or councilwoman. And then you're voted as to who's the mayor and deputy mayor.
Okay. And you guys have done a lot of change. You know, you guys have done some really cool events, and you guys, I feel like, have brought in a lot more people even kind of knowing what's going, like I said, back to before, about what's going on in town, you know, and like all these different programs. Like I'm on the Lodi Board of Diversity, Equity, Inclusion. Like that is super, super cool. Like that is like a lot of those things that you guys have done since you're there. What are some of the things or maybe moments that you're like proud of that you're like, it was really cool?
I mean, again, there's a saying in politics or being an elected official, right, that it's a thankless job, because a lot of people concentrate on what they think it should be, or if something's wrong, and they don't really concentrate on the good. I'm not saying that people don't appreciate it. There are many that do. But the saying is, right, it's a thankless job. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I'm proud that, number one, we work as a team, the five of us, and even the prior administration that I was with, I got to serve with, Laura Sema and Patty Licata, who both served as deputy mayor during their terms. Bruce Masterpuss, Emil, who's still on. So, I mean, it was a lot of fun, and, I was new to the game. I still relatively new. So, you listen, you learn.
Right.
And I just did, we brought the fireworks back after like 18 years, around 4th of July. And then we kind of did away with it during the pandemic, but this last July, we kind of brought them back again, like you said we were going to do. The Fall Fest, which was Mayor Luna's idea to get that Fall Fest going. Prior to that, we had the first time around, we had a food truck show, a food truck day, which was just all food trucks. And then when the second time around, when Mayor Luna was the mayor, and we decided to do the Fall Fest every year, we kind of, combined them together, which is great. So I like this community events. It brings the community together. It's free of charge as far as attendance. I mean, the food is the food, anything but, the beer garden. We put on a good concert. We have good music. And then we finished with a fireworks show. But it's a sense of community. And we have rides for the kids and stuff like that. So, I'm proud of that we got to do that. And again, we do it as a team. No, there's not one person that puts their name out there to say, I did this. We all did it. And it started the prior administration. And even back then, I'm sure things were done before I was elected official that I don't know about. But I'm proud about that. I'm proud about the diversity that we've acknowledged. We had Hispanic Heritage Month. We celebrate Pride Month. The Veterans Memorial. We have that memorial on Memorial Drive now with all the veterans pictures of those from Lodi. The Purple Heart Monument. I believe we were the first in Bergen County to have the Purple Heart Monument to honor veterans that received the Purple Heart Medal. And like you said, the DEI community committee that you're on. I mean, things like that. I mean, that's what it's about. And you know what? It's not about accolades. It's about bringing people together and letting people know that, this is your community. It's your community, and it's my community. I always get a big kick. Like, so one of the things, and again, I love talking politics, but I don't want to get too political. Like, this is my pitch. So, like, we haven't raised the municipal end of taxes in 5 years. I'm proud of that.
What does that? Break that down a little bit.
So when you get your tax bill, and a lot of people don't know this, right? When you get your tax bill, so you pay municipal taxes, which the municipal government controls. You pay school taxes, which the Board of Education controls. You pay county tax, a library tax, right? So we control the municipal end of the taxes, our end. So we've had a zero increase the last 5 years.
Oh yeah, that's good.
So we've done our part in keeping taxes down.
Yeah.
Okay. And I'm proud of that because it takes a lot of work and it takes a lot of financial responsibility in order to do that. And that's not me doing it by myself or Scott doing it by himself, the mayor doing it by himself. That's the five of us with our professionals, with our borough manager, with our borough attorney, with our auditor, with our CFO, doing what's financially right. And again, going back to politics is a thankless job, right? There are people that dispute that, but the
Right.
bottom line is, look at your tax bill, it's zero. There's people that dispute it, but yeah, it's zero. So I don't know.
What are we disputing? You can't.
I don't understand this sometimes. You know what I mean? Like, but that's what happens, and so stuff like that. Like, you know, I'm proud of that stuff. You know what I mean? I'm proud of that stuff.
What do you now feel? What are some things that you think people just don't know? Like some simple things that you feel like in that world of like just some simple things that you feel like our community just doesn't know.
Well, I'm not gonna say they don't know. So I'll give you a prime example, right? So you live in Lodi. We talk a lot. So if you were to talk, let's just I'm giving an example. Let's say taxes went up, and you like, Vin, what are you doing? Like, how can you do that? I pay taxes.
Right.
I own a house in Lodi. You think I want the taxes to go up? It's not like so. Sometimes I don't think I'm not gonna say people don't know that, but I want you to realize I don't get a tax break because I'm an elected official.
Right.
If taxes go up, my taxes go up.
Right.
Or if you're driving on a bumpy road, I'm driving on that same bumpy road. So, you know, yeah, we want things to be perfect. But, you know, it's not a perfect world. We try our best. And when we can do it. And you still need to be financially responsible. You can't just do everything at once. You know what I'm saying? So that's a lot of times I get a kick out of that because, like, I'm like, hey, dude, I pay taxes too. You know, or I drive on that street too, and I hit that same pothole you did. You know, and listen, I feel comfortable in saying I'll help anybody that I can help. I don't care if you voted for me or not.
Right.
I've answered people on Facebook. I'm not too much of a social media guy because I believe it can only get you in trouble. So, but I'll inbox somebody. Like, I don't like to air it out.
Right,
because,
right.
you know, but if I see somebody that complains about somebody, I'll inbox them. And if I don't even know them, I'll just say to them, you know, hey, I'm the deputy mayor. Can you do me a favor? Can you give me a better address? Or can you give me something? I'm going to send somebody there. I'll notify somebody. And listen, sometimes it works out and I get a huge thank you. Sometimes it doesn't work out and it looks like I didn't do nothing, but I try.
Right.
You know, but like, you know, if it's a county road, if it's a state road, there's only so much you can do. You know, we'll make the calls and everything, but, you know, so I'm not concerned. Like we kind of saying before we went on this thing, right?
Right.
We all want to make Lodi better.
Right.
So I guess in the sense of competition, there always has to be an election. Maybe there's always got to be people that want to go at you. But the people that go at you are people that you know your whole life.
Right.
And you know you would think that you can just we can agree to disagree, but let's get this done together.
Right.
I mean, again, we're you know.
I feel like definitely the ego plays a major factor in terms of it's like I want to make change, but I don't like you making change. That's what it always sounds like.
Like listen, there's people that try to, I guess, highlight our bad, whatever that is.
Right.
Some things that are highlighted are 100% false. Some things are true, again, because this is not a perfect world.
Right.
But we do so much good that from those naysayers.
Right.
The good never gets broadcasted.
No.
You know what I mean? The good, you know, the supporting the veterans, the diversity groups, and celebrating Pride Month and Hispanic heritage, and we did something for the Sikh community and our Indian community.
Right.
I mean, you know, we're
But we don't hear about it though.
Exactly. You know, you hear about it from our people
Right.
or from us, and then it looks, you know, but from the naysayers who think we're doing such a bad job, why don't you support it? Like,
Right.
support the program or support what we're doing.
Yeah.
But they can't do that, right? Because then it would look like they agree we're doing something right, and they just can't have that.
Right.
Well, then it's not about Lodi.
It's about their
Like,
ego.
you know, like, see, to me, it's not about Lodi. Like, to me, like, so our election cycle is every 4 years.
Right.
Nobody comes, and all of a sudden, 2 months before the next election, now all of a sudden people want to come and, well, where were you the last 3 years and 10 months?
Right.
Like, we didn't do nothing wrong then?
Right.
Or even if you bring something up, it wasn't important 2 years ago? like you know, so that's the stuff that gets me. Like,
Right.
You know, I just, you know.
Be in it full circle.
Yeah. I'm not a politician. I still believe that. I'm not a politician. Some may say I am. I say I'm not.
Right.
I'm going to speak my mind, and you see that sometimes on Facebook.
Hey.
I speak my mind.
Right.
I got nothing to hide. I welcome anybody to come to a council meeting. There's always a public portion where there's public comment, and again, we try our best. Do we get things done? Yes. Do we get everything done? No. But nowhere does.
Yeah.
I mean, and it's not because we don't want to. We don't say, oh, there's 2 big potholes there. Don't worry about it. No. We try to get them filled as much as we can.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Or whatever. We try, so we've paved roads, we've changed lighting, we've upgraded parks. We do what we can do.
Does that take how realistically? I'm curious myself because my town has issues with that already. Why does it take so long to fix certain problems that might be hazardous to the general public in the town?
Well, if there's a hazard, it really shouldn't.
Right.
I mean, let's be honest with you. If it's a hazard, it shouldn't. But when a road's a little beat up, again. So, infrastructure across America is going crazy.
Right.
I mean,
the hot colds to the winter.
But I'm saying, like, you see PSE&G, Passaic Valley, they're doing a ton of work.
Yes.
Underneath the roads. They are. So we might have a road that needs to be paved. We're aware that a utility company's coming there 4 months from now.
And then they're going to tear it up.
Dig it up. So why are we going to pave it? I can tell you this. Paving is not cheap. No, it really isn't. Like, I'm not going to throw numbers out there.
Right.
But it's not cheap. Like, it's surprising.
Right.
So you're not going to do that and then have them come and dig the road up in 6 months. And what happens with some of the utility companies, and by all means, it's so if we pave a road, right? We pave a road from curb to curb, and then a utility company comes in and digs on the right side of the road. When they repave, they pave from the middle to the curb. They don't pave the other side.
Wow.
So listen, so there's times that we can do it, and there's things that people don't know, right? So let's say there's 5 roads like that. Let's say there's 6 roads like that.
Right.
Where they're going to pave half a road. We'll say, hey, do us a favor. You guys take these 3 roads curb to curb, and we'll take these 3 roads, and we'll go curb to curb. Like, you know what I mean? So we'll work it out. Instead of saying, all right, you pave 6 roads half, and we'll pave the other half. That makes no sense.
Right.
You take 3 roads, go curb to curb. We'll take 3 roads, go curb to curb. So we work it out. But it takes time. The other things are sometimes if it's a county road or a state road. So a lot of times you really can't go on that road and do their repair. Because if something goes wrong and it becomes civil, like, let's just say you pave I'm just giving you a wild example, right? You put some tar in a big pothole.
Right.
We do it, say, on a county road. And we really don't do a good job. And it gets chewed up. And a car comes, blows a tire out, loses control, crashes into a building. They're blaming that. The county says, "Oh, who filled that like that?" Like, you know what I mean? So there's always a liability to it. Also,
okay.
You know what I mean? So
Interesting. And then some other stuff I think that people wouldn't really know about. Because like that's a perfect example.
I didn't even know because you can't touch, but it's in the town.
Yeah.
But no one would know, and that's why a lot of people get aggravated.
Yeah.
It's like, oh no, that we can't touch that.
Again, don't get me wrong. If it's a major thing,
Right.
we're gonna probably, take care of the problem and worry about what happens afterwards.
Right.
If it's a major thing, or
I feel like what makes it a major thing, because you see roads like Patterson that's just so, you know what I'm saying? We all know what's going on with there, but it's just like in terms of the roads, it's just like I feel like it shouldn't take so long. Within a week, it should be taken care of. There's roads that's been there like that for months, regardless of them having to dig it up.
Yeah, it happens, and again, it's just sometimes it's manpower, sometimes it's time constraint. We do go out and fill potholes, but then again, after some wear and tear, those potholes are going to come back.
Right.
We try our best to do that, but I actually think we purchased our own machine that we can we fill our own potholes now and everything, so that's good.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah, and we do that. I know a lot of times you get that. I mean, knock on wood, no
Right, right.
snow yet this year, but a lot of times again, right? Plows rip streets apart. You know what I
Right,
mean?
right.
So again, like you hate to pave right before the winter because if you have a bad winter, you're probably gonna destroy the street.
Absolutely,
You know
especially
what
with
I'm
the
saying?
salt
With
and
the
everything.
Salt and everything. So at least if you do it after the season, not that it's not gonna snow the following winter, but it has 8 to 10 months to cure and really settle in before you're gonna start ripping it apart. You know what I mean?
Right.
So we got we ain't about to be in February. This will probably air in February. I think May's coming around the corner. Are we? Is that when elections coming?
Yeah, next election is in May.
Oh, are we
Yeah,
gonna
May.
see you still you there or?
I
What's going
drew
on?
my petition, so yeah, I think you'll see me run again.
Okay,
Yeah,
get some
you'll see me run again.
air horns for that. Hold on, let's go. Let's go, guys. Now, how does that work for this town? So, how long can you run? Can you?
Yeah, there's no limit.
There's no limit,
No.
right? So you could be on there forever.
Yeah, you can be on there forever.
Okay,
I don't think I'll be on forever.
but everybody though, is that the way it works for everybody?
Yeah, there's no time limit.
Okay, so
Yeah,
for
there's no time.
mayor and what about
time.
for board of ed?
No time limit.
So whenever you're in and then
You can be on a board as long as you keep getting elected. The board elections every 3 years. There's 9 board members. There's an election every year. There's 3 members up every year. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So every year in November there's a board election. So there's 3 members up every year. We're 5 at a time, so we're every 4 years. So and we're in May.
Right.
all right, let's go. So
Well, let's hope. It's hard work. I mean, it is. It's hard work. You don't take anything for granted.
yeah,
You got to work hard, and you got to go out there. You got to knock on doors. You got to be seen, and that's something we do all year long. It's something that this council does all year long. Me and the mayor, go out all year long, because that's our job. That's our responsibility.
Right.
You know what I mean? I to be honest with you, I don't do it for an election. Those who come out 3 months before the election do it for the election. But you know what I'm saying?
Right,
It's
right,
like,
right.
so I get elected, I don't do nothing for 3.5 years, and now all of a sudden, oh man, the deputy mayor's everywhere. Oh sure, there's an election in 2 months. I'm everywhere.
You gotta be
We
consistent.
support everything all year long, from day one to the next election.
How it should be.
what are some of your goals? Let's just we'll speak it to existence. Say you're still with us, right? On the board, deputy mayor, Lodi. What are some things? What are some goals? Maybe personal goals that you would want to do in the next few years? Anything on your mind?
Well, yeah, I mean, obviously, I would just kind of like keep the train rolling the way it's going. Like, obviously, keep taxes stabilized. We got a lot of new developments coming into town, which are going to be rateables, which help you with your tax levy. That's always the number one priority, right? Again, I pay taxes,
Right.
so I own a house, so I don't want my taxes to go up either.
Right.
So that's always the number one priority. That's usually the number one priority of any government anywhere. You know what I mean? No matter where you go, but just keep the community events going. We've upgraded our parks. We're adding a couple more parks in the future. We're hoping there's a couple more basketball courts. Things for our youth. We support our seniors. I mean, we just did some project in our senior building on Walnut Place, put all new air filters in and everything. Just support everybody. Again, just stay community oriented.
Yeah.
Like there's no secret to the game.
Right.
Again, and that's why we can do this together. Like, it's just, nobody has the secret potion, and I know none of us, meaning myself, Emil, Albert, or Joe, or the mayor, we don't claim we have the answer to everything. We really don't, because nobody does. So just keep it rolling, keep it flowing. I honestly think we're doing a good job.
Yeah.
I honestly do. Obviously I'm biased, but to be unbiased, I honestly think we care about our residents. Our mayor's knocked on doors and introduced himself to take care of a problem. I've inboxed people. I know Albert has done. We've all done our part. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
We've
Yeah,
all done
just
our
through
part.
what I've seen on social and events, between social and events, and how active you guys are. Like I said, it's it's definitely a big change than I've ever noticed. Like like I said, to know you guys on first name basis, to see you guys at the events, to see you guys business. Every time a business opens up, I see you guys there.
Yeah.
Anytime something is going on, I see you guys there.
Yeah.
Like
We try our best.
I see it, and like even I may not be there, but I see it on social. I see something, so like, and that's not easy because you're also too entrepreneurs, business, like you guys have other stuff, your families, you got like multiple things, and people don't understand that sometimes too. It's like, again, nothing's perfect, and you're still doing other things. It's not like this is the only thing you do.
As I say, I'm a resident.
Right.
I'm married. I have 3 children. I mean, I got a job. I mean, I got other responsibilities. Yeah. But it all fits in. I mean, I like what I do. I'm okay with doing what I'm doing. Again, I think we're a great team, and I think we have a great team in our profession. Listen, you're going to be as good as people you surround yourself with. So we're a great team. Our borough manager does a great job. Like I said, our town attorney, our auditor, but the town looks good, right? Why does the town look good? Well, our DPW director does a great job. Our borough employees do a great job. Like, those people make us look good.
Right.
Like, I get it. Like, what I mean? Again, this is not a one-man show. You know what I mean? Our borough employees make us look good. Like, if the DPW wasn't on point and the town looked like, horrible, that's a reflection on us. You know what I mean? Nobody says, oh, my God, look at this town. What's the DPW do? No, they say, oh, my God, look how dirty this town is. The mayor and council does nothing. It always comes down to that.
Right.
You know what I mean? So they make us look good, and that's why we support them. You know what I mean? Our borough employees inside Borough Hall, when you come in, we ask them to be kind to people, and they do. They do a great job. They go an extra yard to help somebody that comes in, fill out paperwork, whatever it is. And because that's a reflection on us. And we appreciate that because, again, you're only as good as the team that you surround yourself with.
Right.
And by all means, that's the way I look at it.
Yeah. Man, I before we close this out, because this was such a good, I feel like we could go on forever, man. I think you would be a really good podcaster if you ever got into it. You might have to get a little Lodi show going on. Yeah. But before we close, like I said, I have a 14-year-old daughter. Her name is Jaylene. And I told her this morning before she was going to school, I was like, look, we're doing a pod tonight. She helps out. She interns and stuff with me. Right. Well, actually, I pay her, so she's not an intern. She's
paid intern.
Yeah, she's a paid intern, right? But so I asked her what questions she would want to ask you because I wanted to give her that opportunity. So she wrote enjoyable moments. She wanted to know about some enjoyable moments. She wanted to know what struggles did you go through becoming the deputy mayor? Was it easy? Did you have some regrets? So enjoyable moments, struggles, any regrets?
As a deputy mayor or just as an elected official?
She put, I guess as both.
Listen, enjoyable moments, again, being able to say that I have a part of making this town better, of progressing forward with everything, with community events, with diversity, with supporting our veterans, supporting our seniors, having people being able to take their family, having people want to come to Lodi. We've got a lot of developments that are going up, a lot of businesses that are coming into town. That's a good sign, right? If you know anything about business, right? They're kind of like an Amazon Fresh is coming downtown, right?
Right.
Like, you don't think that they do a study and you don't think that they realize Lodi's the place they want to come. So, that's good, when that comes. So I take a lot of pride in that. That's an enjoyable moment. Having people seeing 3,000, 4,000 people at our Fall Fest.
Right.
That's enjoyable. That's success.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? There's not, 100 people. There's literally 3,000 people that come through there on that day.
Right.
Like, I'll give you a quick story. I know you want to wrap it.
No, we're good. I'm good.
The first year we do the food truck show. Right. Very first year, we actually struggled to get food trucks, right? Because they're popular and people don't want to take a day and come and make no money. So we kind of had like a waive the fee. Everything we waived except the health permit you can't waive, but the fee that we charge it's minimal. But we waived everything because we wanted to get like as many, not as many, but we wanted to get like 6 to 8 trucks. Because again, it was our first year, so we really didn't know if it was going to be a success or anything. Well, we killed it. Yeah. The next year we had like people calling us. We could have had like 25 trucks if we wanted to. Obviously, you don't want 25 trucks because then people start taking it away. You know, so
right.
like so it's just like to see that we have like 8 to 10 food trucks, and they want to come back every year. Like they're telling the people who run it, like Rebecca and Norma do a great job with setting up our food trucks. Like they're like, hey, next year I'm back. Like they're telling us they want to be back. There's a reason,
right?
Because it's a success. Watching people watch the bands and dancing, and people staying from the fireworks, and going on social media. And seeing Lodi fireworks show that people are showing that don't even live in Lodi. Right. Because we don't even charge for our fireworks shows when there's other towns that charge to come see fireworks.
That's insane.
Like that's, so those are good moments. You know what I mean? And I like that, you know.
Those are, I want to say, my most favorite as far as like the event stuff. Definitely, like I think the Fall Fest, and you guys doing because you guys do the fireworks too, right?
We do the fireworks, yeah. We do the bigger version. So last year we started a new program, right? Okay. Like I said, when we first brought the fireworks back, we brought it back 4th of July, give or take Saturday before or after. And then when the pandemic hit, we kind of did away with it. We had the Fall Fest, so we moved the first year because we didn't do the fireworks in July. They were nice. The company was nice enough to say, okay, we'll let you do it in October, and we didn't lose money. You know what I'm saying? So we're like, wow, this is great, and people loved it. It was jam packed, packed. So we said, we can't do away with this. It's a great night. It's a great night. It's a great way to end the night. So we always wanted to bring the fireworks back, but we had for 4th of July, so we had to wait for the right time. Again, there's naysayers out there that are trying to say that we're non-patriotic because we're not having the fireworks 4th of July. The farthest thing from the truth. Right. And we brought it back, but we started this year a new event called Boardwalk at the Borough.
Yeah. I saw
so
that.
What we did was we did like a for those families who can't go down the shore or who don't go down the shore. So we did like a boardwalk theme. Where we had like, games of chance that people can play like you were down at the boardwalk. And we had another live band. We had a beer garden, and we did a fireworks show. So we do 2 fireworks shows a year. And
that's
as long as it's feasible. Well, we get sponsors. We get local businesses that sponsor us. Some of our new big developers that are coming in sponsor us. We do that, and we broadcast their names and give them their due. Again, it's a team effort, and it's not only our employees. It's our businesses. We're big on supporting our small businesses, and we're big on the bigger businesses helping the town out and supporting our community, and I can't qualm with. We've had great success in doing that. So hopefully, if that keeps up, we can keep that up. But I just think it's great because there's a ton of people there in July,
right?
Like and listen, do people from out of town come? Absolutely, but there's not going to jinx us. There's never been any problems. There have been any fights. Our police department's there. They come in. They do it on their own time. The chief works the schedule out. Some people change their shifts. So we have a good police presence. We have community stands there where people give away. It's a real good time.
I love that they do it too, because that's one big thing that I try to do, as well, is I try to give people the opportunity to live here, to be able to like enjoy their time here. Because a lot of times people want to just go to like New York or Jersey City, or they want to go to Prom. They want to leave to go have a good time. But I've noticed in the last few years, you guys have really changed that. And you guys have given some cool things to do. Like one of my best friends, right? He's from the Bronx. And it's just funny because he's always like, he loves New York. He's been living here for a long time though. And he's always like, Jersey don't got anything. These last few years, he's been looking forward to like fall. He's like, because he has a daughter, and he's like, he knows I'm like, so he always hits me, and he's like, let me know when there's something going on, and he'll leave the Bronx, he'll leave New York, and come back
it's a good time
to enjoy himself.
It's a good time.
That's very
we do that summer concert series in the back. We have the amphitheater, and we have 3 or 4 bands every year. Not including the bigger bands, like the more popular ones that we have. Like we have Beatlemania this year for 4th of July. We have Beatlemania. They were awesome. And then we had the Rolling Stones again because the mayor loves the Stones. the cover band, the Glimmer Twins. You know, they're a big band. They play all over the country. But what we changed up to is like there's a lot of bands around that are local talent, like Lodi people.
Right.
So you know what? We have 3 or 4 concerts a year where we bring these bands in now. Like they're, you know, the cost is down, but there are people. Let our people showcase their talents. And again, it's almost like a reunion because a lot of people that come see them are the Lodi people that they went to high school with. Because some of them are older.
Yeah.
Like
Right.
they're still rocking and rolling. And
Yeah, they're still going.
So it's great. And you know, we've done that. And now it's even our concert series are homegrown people.
I'm not gonna lie. I was definitely thinking of a live podcast there. We were a live
Well,
podcast.
listen, again,
Something
we can.
we'll have to talk off air, but there would be some cool stuff there.
Yeah, no,
you know?
we're good. So what was the next thing?
So any basically struggles, regrets, anything?
Listen, I don't regret anything I do. You know, you can't regret. There's struggles. There's struggles in everything. You know, I don't like the political game sometimes when people start bashing you personally. You know, I think that's lame.
Right.
But I understand that, you know, some people have nothing better to do, so I roll with it.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, I mean, you know, I don't like to be judged when you don't know me. Like when you don't know me,
Right.
you really shouldn't judge me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You really shouldn't make up, you know, blatant lies and your own HBO series,
Yeah, I
your own
feel you.
Netflix series. Like,
Making the movies.
you know what I mean? Like that stuff, like,
That
you know,
sounds
that
like-
aggravates me a little bit. But listen, it rolls off me because, listen, when you know the truth and you have your true friends, your family, your loved ones, they stand by you. Everything else is irrelevant. But, you know, that gets to you a little bit sometimes, you know.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because it's nonsense, you know what I'm saying?
It's tough, and that's why I was also asking about mental health and stuff like that. Because for you guys are dealing with a lot of stuff. Like, you know, again, the questions, the complaints, all that. Like that has a lot to probably do on like everyone's like mental.
Yeah, that's fine. But listen, I don't. If you have the outlook on it, you help yourself. I'll give you a quick example. This morning, I go to the bagel house every morning, and there's a group of guys that are in there, and they're friends of mine, and you know. I had a guy ask me a question this morning and tell me something was going on somewhere in town. I said, I'll take care of everything. And then like a half hour later, he texts me. He's like, hey, I'm sorry. I shouldn't, I really shouldn't. No, dude, that's fine. I got no problem with that. That's why I'm here. Like, I'm being honest with you.
Right.
I'm like, tell me. I'm in my car, and again, I'm not trying to toot my own horn. Like I drive to town on a Saturday and Sunday morning. And if I see things, I jot them down and I get them to the right person. Sometimes it's basically just our borough manager, Mark Schweeks, and say, Mark, this is what I saw. Can you handle this? But I do that. That's the reason why I'm elected official. And, not just because I got a parking spot outside the door. I mean, like.
One day we should document that. We should like film that journey.
A day in the life.
A day in a life.
Yeah, I'm game for anything. You know me.
Yeah, look, that would be fun
Game
actually.
for anything.
Start playing the. No, we not.
See,
Play
yeah,
this. I'll say it after.
Say it after because they're gonna start
That's a
stealing our
joke, yeah.
ideas.
Yeah, so, yeah. Don't let anybody steal.
Yeah, nah, because we be just giving like a lot of times free, creative ideas.
Yeah, that's good. I'll get it before they did.
Right.
I'm not starting any podcast soon. So.
I don't know.
If I do, I'll come to you. So.
Hey,
You'll produce it.
you never know. But I agree with you with the regrets. I want to say that as well too because I don't believe in that. So it's very funny. And Jay, when you're listening to this too, everything happens for a reason. Shouldn't have any regrets.
Absolutely, don't have any regrets. Listen, do what your mind tells you to do. Do what you think is doing right. You got to make some adjustments sometimes. Absolutely, but we all got to make adjustments in every aspect of our life, right? Yeah. She's school age kids, right? Yeah. So. There's going to be adjustments she's got to make in school. Yeah. And then, when she hits the job world, there's going to be adjustments she's got to make. I tell my kids the same thing.
Right.
You think it's rough now? Well, it's not getting easier. It's just different issues, right? Like, you deal with school, you deal with getting up, and now you got to deal with work, and then you deal with dealing with bills, and then you deal with mortgages. And it never goes
I said
away.
that too. I said that to a friend today. I said, you got to get past what you're going through now because what happens when you're a billionaire?
Exactly.
You're not going to be able to deal with billionaire like stuff because...
Right.
If that's your goal, if that's a goal, right? You know what I mean?
Listen,
like,
have a plan, stay focused, and every time you're driving down that road, every now you're gonna make a sharp right. Sometimes you're gonna make a sharp left,
right?
But you gotta get back on that same road.
Right.
And everybody, listen, I don't care who you are. Everybody has a bump in the road,
right?
Yep.
Some more than others. But that's okay. That's life. Like that's life.
Yeah.
You know, no anybody tells you, you know, and it's something you tell your daughter, I'm sure you do. Like, you know, anybody tells you it's smooth all the way to the end,
Never.
they're lying. You know what I mean?
Right.
They're lying. It's not true. It's not true. And you know, everybody has something to say.
Yeah. It's just how you react to it and how, like, your perspective on it. What do you do from it? What are your actions?
Right.
Yeah, just you know, deal with it. Prove people wrong. Prove yourself right. That's what I like to do. It's not so much I want to prove somebody wrong. I want to prove myself right.
Right.
I don't care if I prove you or you wrong.
Right.
You're not. I'm gonna prove myself right. You know what I
Right.
mean? I'm gonna do what's right for me and my family, or in my case as an elected official. Because again, you talked about before, I got a dual role. Like I got to do what's right for me and my family.
Right.
Yeah.
But I also have a flip side where I got to do what's right for the community.
Right.
As an elected official, and you got to balance them out. And then sometimes they interact. Like, listen, I'm married 26 years, almost 27 years. Like, yeah, I couldn't do what I did if my wife didn't support me. Like, there's nights I'm out of the house, you know, especially during election season. I'm out of the house 3, 4, 5 nights in a row. You know, I mean, like, you know,
Right.
granted, my kids are a little older now. It's much easier. They all drive, and everything, but at the end of the day, I'm not home. So if you don't have the support of your family, you know, it's not easy to do.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So it's a team effort, right? And even
Right.
starts with your team at home.
Yeah. Because you need that percent
Yeah,
full circle.
You need that. You know what I mean? You need that. You know, again, my wife's like, oh, yeah, you can go. Like I even said today, hey, you want to come to the podcast? She goes, no.
Yeah, she could come
So
through.
why would I want to go? I'm like, I don't know, come support me. Like, she goes, I mean, I knew she was going to say no. She goes, no, I'm going to watch a Netflix movie.
Yeah, so what? Oh,
He's like,
Netflix.
movie or podcast.
You know, that's fine.
Right.
But there's some people that don't get that. You're going out again. Why'd you have to do it tonight? Like, you know, my wife don't do that. Nor anybody. We like everybody's pretty cool. And you need that.
Right.
Because again, there's you know, I go to a lot of events. You know, I go to county-wide events. I go to statewide events because you need to network. You know, in the county with the county executive. You know, like we need to network.
1,000%.
You know, because when you're there to network and you're there to support, listen, again, right? It rolls downhill. Like even with a state, you know, the state senator works. He needs his team, and to make his district successful, it goes through the towns. The towns need to support that person. The county executive needs the support of all the towns in Bergen County that support him. Make things work.
Right.
You know, it's just no different.
It goes all the way down.
Yeah, no
A
different.
lot of people don't understand that. You gotta build that all the time.
Yeah. And I got news for you. I'll be honest with you. When I first got elected, I didn't understand it either. Like again, I'm not a politician. Like I wasn't involved in politics and say, oh, I can't wait till I retire. I'm going to run. Like it was. Like, I knew about it. Like I knew who our mayor was and our council was. Obviously, I was a police officer in town. But I didn't know the importance of going to county events, the importance of going to state events, and making relationships with state senators and U.S. congressmen, you know, and being able to call, you know, a congressman to, you know, to try to address our flooding problem, and having, you know, we have Congressman Pascal right now because districts change. But before him, all my time here, we had Josh Gottheimer, and you know, Josh is a phone call away. For me, for Scott. Come here, walk, you know, in the floods, we were walking homes down on Chestnut and at the bottom in Norwood, and, you know, boom, he was here like that. You know, in the boys club, the governor, I mean, you know, I never knew it was going to be like that. I didn't. Now it's the norm.
Right.
But that was new to me when I first,
Yeah.
you know, when I was
Would you say
first
like that was
elected.
like almost like a mentor in the space?
Well, yeah, not so much a mentor. Like, listen, I've learned from, like the mayor, you know, Scott's been involved in politics a long, long time. He's a 5th generation mayor. But, you know, Emil Carafa was involved a long time. Bruce Masterpuss was involved a long time. So, you know, I picked their brains. Yeah. And even when I first got on and Patty and Laura were on, you know, they were already in their second term. So they were there too. Again, like, so when I came on, I'm like, I'm years. I'm years. I need to learn.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? You know, you can't come into this game thinking you know, because you don't, you know, and that's the thing. And again, you can't have an ego and be in politics. It's hard.
Yeah.
Right.
You know, it's hard. You know, and again, it's a team effort.
Yeah, that's how you got to do it with everything.
Yeah,
Right.
absolutely.
Zane, you got anything else?
No, that's about it.
I think this was great. We gotta get you on more often.
No, listen,
we gotta
I'm always available.
we gotta get you on more often,
I'm always
Vin.
available. No, thanks a lot. Listen, I appreciate what you guys are doing.
Thank you,
You
so
know what
much.
I mean? I mean, I know Zane. We just met a couple of times at a couple other events, but you know, Joe, me and you've been talking a lot too. You guys are doing a phenomenal job. This is great.
Thank you so much.
I'm
Glad you came on. Of course,
Thank
man.
you.
We're gonna
Thanks
get
for
you.
having
Like I
me.
said, we'll get you on again. These are our people. You know, we
Yeah.
all. Zane, Lodi. Since when did you move to Lodi when you were a kid?
You said move to? I've been in Lodi my entire life.
From when you were born. Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was in the village.
Oh, all right.
Yeah.
Yeah, he grew up in the village. I grew up in
And then
the
I
West.
went. And then I was in the Roosevelt buildings, by the bowling
Oh,
alley.
by Lodi Lanes. Yeah, all right.
Lodi Lanes. That's
So
why
you go to Lodi. So you went to Hilltop School.
I did,
Oh.
and then I was taken out. That was another story.
Yeah,
and then I went to
it's
Washington.
It's another podcast.
Yeah, that's another podcast.
Another
But then I
episode.
went to Washington, and then
All right.
Mr. Carafa
No,
was
so,
my
so you had
principal.
Mr. Carafa. I watched it.
yeah.
Oh, good.
Yeah, he knows me.
Yeah. No, but so you know, I mean, that's it. So you know, here's another thing, right? The 5 council people that we have now, every one of us were born and raised in Lodi.
Right.
You know, nobody is. So in order to be an elected official in town, you have to reside in town.
Right.
But I mean, you could have moved here 3 years ago. You know what I mean, or 10 years ago. But every one of us have been born and raised here.
Right.
You know what I mean? We're here our whole lives. So you
That's
know,
cool,
that
cool,
says a
yeah.
lot. You know what I mean?
It
You know,
does.
Right. We want to see the town flourish. You know.
exactly. Like, you know what?
Gotta
Again,
keep your house
you know,
clean.
I'm born and raised here. I'm here 58 years. I want what's best for this town.
Right.
If I didn't want what's best for this town, I wouldn't be here.
Right.
I would
Yeah.
retire. You don't have to live in Lodi to be a police officer. You know what I mean? A guy could have
Right.
sold my house and moved wherever I wanted many years ago.
Right.
I chose to be here for a reason.
Right.
You know what I mean? So
Keep eyes on things and make a difference.
make it better, make a difference. Yeah. You know.
I love it. Well,
All right.
we got some other things to work on tonight. I'm a late night guy. I still got a bunch of other
I'm
things.
on the couch now.
Right.
I'm gonna edit some videos, do all that fun stuff. I just got some stuff we're just gonna close out with. Shout out. We also have we have the GoFundMe out right now for the studio, right? So we're trying to really get a studio here in Lodi, right? So a creative studio that we're trying to build. So because this is cool, but it's a little tight.
Yeah,
It's a little tight at times, but I make it work, right? It's
Yeah, you make it work.
Something different, but my address is starting to get out there a little bit. It's starting. People are starting to know a little bit. We're at like 260 episodes almost or something.
Right.
So people are starting to know. So we're trying to grow. We're trying to expand. So right now we have a link. It's going to be in the bio. It's on all of our pages. It's a GoFundMe link because we're really trying to build this creative studio, right, for local creatives, where we will have photography section, podcast section, makeup section, little fitness area for all creatives around the area that want to create, right? Like a one central place for people that are able to come in, learn how to create, right? Will there be events, classes, or if they're like a photographer, if you're like a photographer that just needs a place to take some photos, you'll be able to have a place to bring one of your clients to take a photos. Or if you're another podcaster and you want to just do a podcast, you'll have a place to come and do a podcast.
We got to find you somewhere.
I mean, that's what we're working on it. We're trying to raise money right now to do that. And little by little. So we have that going out right now. We have the therapy series. That just hit a year. Can you believe that hit a year since we released that?
It's been a year already.
Yeah, since the Therapy Without a Degree series. So if you guys have not seen that, it was a TV show we did. So we took this podcast and we transformed it into our own independent TV show, web series, right? So there's 3 episodes of that out. It just hit a year. So you can find that. It was a little drama.
Found it on YouTube.
Yeah, you saw it?
Yeah, come on.
Little something different,
Yeah,
right?
Absolutely. Great.
So that was, he shot it. He was the director of photography and many other hats.
Right.
So that was all his amazing work.
All shot in Lodi.
Yeah, we did a lot of it. You probably recognize some of the streets. I got out there, did the thing. I wrote and directed it. And that's another thing that soon, we're going to try to film some more. So we're going to try to get a season 2 out the way, maybe, if I can convince this guy. He's like, wait, what?
I already wrote a script.
It's ready? You're ready?
I actually wrote a script.
You're ready for it? Okay.
Yeah.
Let's go. I am ready when you are, sir. Don't get me tempted.
Yeah. It's actually pretty wild.
All right. We're going to find out. Maybe we'll get Vinny in an episode. We'll get a little cameo.
Yeah, we gotta give everybody a cameo.
I do a cameo.
We filmed something in Napoli too. We've been filming in this town. We've been putting in work.
I mean, we have a lot of talent in Jersey and as a whole. So I think it's only I found out recently last year that Jason is in Jersey, Crystal Lake.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
That was filmed in Jersey?
that was in Jersey.
Wow, I didn't know that. That's a fun fact.
I was like, wait, what? Most of like those creepy horror
Friday the
movie stuff
13th.
was
Yeah,
in
yeah.
Jersey. They were filmed in Jersey.
Oh,
Even
nice.
old movies, they always mention
There's a lot
Jersey.
of filming in Jersey.
Yeah.
you'd be
Sopranos
surprised.
was
You'd
in
be
Lodi.
surprised. Oh
Yeah.
yeah, all the time.
Yep.
Lodi.
I was in Washington. I remember they were filming at the funeral.
Yeah, all the time.
Yeah, we got to actually have to go back and watch that. But got some cool stuff out there, and everyone has to vote, right? May, we're going to get them out.
Yeah, let's get them out
All right.
for sure.
And yeah, I'll be sharing all that all over social media as well too. And maybe we'll put together some graphics, some info you guys will need to know.
Right.
Zane, you shout out anything for this week? Anything that you think the people should know about?
Yeah. Let's see. I would say shout out to Javier and Desiree for coming out and being here and supporting us. Yeah. Thank y'all.
100%. Thank you guys. Desiree is on the camera. We switched up. We got a little second angle today. I was like, Vinny's coming in. We got to break out the camera. We got to break it out. Okay, we that's about to go. And we got Javi in the building. All right, we got Javi's been coming in clutch. We've been putting Javi to work. But other than that, I think we're gonna roll. Vinny, you got anything you wanted to shout out?
Nah,
Anything?
listen, thanks again, and again, really appreciate you highlighting this and let me get some stuff out as far as what we do for the community, what we want to continue to do for the community. So I appreciate you guys.
No problem, man. We're gonna do it. This was fun. All right, guys. Another episode of Therapy Without a Degree. We'll see y'all soon.
Peace.
Peace out.